Well, saws are beginning to creep back into the picture. You know, you got to think the railroad guys are thinking we're nuts, because I go back and forth to CNY Power Sports like a freaking yo-yo at times, you know, back and forth, back and forth. And I've had continual trouble with this one here, this saw right here. You know, pull start broke, so I got a different pull start. It always would just shut off. It would go lean and shut off. And I think we figured out a few things. One was the tank vent simply wasn't venting properly, so we changed that, and that seemed to help some. Second is found an air leak underneath the cylinder on this side here. For whatever reason, that gasket was not sealing. So I went and got an OEM gasket, and I'm going to just goop the heck out of it with 1184. And I don't know whether or not I'm going to put it on this saw or the kit saw that I've got. But one of those two saws is going to get the new gasket gooped up, and we'll see if it'll run. Actually, all three of the saws had issues. All three of them. And kind of working through the problems one at a time, trying to figure out how to make them run. I mean, I think it's going to be a nice saw when it finally gets going, but it's those detail things. I would say that this 361 was a harder one to sort of figure out and sort out than the 660 was. The 660 was closer, and it was pretty obvious when things would fail. For example, the bar studs would strip out. That was a very obvious thing that you needed to change. But this one here, it just had that mystery, would shut off for no particular reason. You know, and the other one would just always go lean. So obviously air leak. You know, I checked things like seals and stuff like that, and whether or not the case gasket actually sealed up, just pretty much standard stuff. What we figured out was it was drawing air underneath the cylinder on the PTO side, and the tank vent just simply wasn't working properly. And then it has another anomaly because of the way the fuel line is. It gets down the low tank, and part of that filter is up out of the gas. So it's issues like that. They're a little tougher to deal with, but I'm thinking that this particular saw chassis is actually worth it. You know, once it gets going, I think it's going to be worth doing. And this came back to me. My God, this is one of the first old John threads that I had tweaked, you know, and more for fun than anything else. And I don't know what its boggle is, but we're going to figure it out, see if we can get this one going again. That was a saw that I had originally, I believe I got that from Bob at some point, and then I lent it out for like a skidder saw for a guy, and they ran it for a long time. And he's retiring from that business. He's no longer doing that kind of work. So this particular saw came back to me, and I'm kind of happy about that because this was a nice one. So we may tear into this one and reseal it up and, you know, see if we can't make this one run better. So, and I got this one in. Look at that, 394 XP. That's a beast. Basically, it's like the other one I did years back where the throttle cable, the plastic casing kind of squeezed back, so you can pull that trigger all you want, but you're only getting about half throttle. But here we go again, back to saws. I'm going to load up a bunch of saws in the tractor and head back out in the woods. Well, I was able to get a little bit of train action downtown. Pretty sure by now they think I'm nuts. Maybe I am. But I have got some wood to pull. I got down before and it just got so muddy I couldn't get it out. The things have dried up quite a bit. So I need to continue in my endeavors to come up with a way of dragging this stuff out of here, you know. I got a few more big ones. That one there is the one that got split. I don't know what I'm going to do with it. I may just chop it up right there, or I might drag it up and see if there's anything saleable in it. But I need to clear just a lot more of the area just so I can get down in here and work. And I need to do it in a little bit more structured way than I have in the past, because when I was doing it before, it was just so darn muddy. You know, it was just sort of a survival thing. You do what you can. So I think what I'm going to do today is take a small saw and basically just cut more here so I can get around and then go out that way and see if I can connect up with the trail, just going straight up through that. Just take a small saw and just clear it out, clear out trees and block them up until I can get out, and then maybe I can start pulling some of this wood here, which I need to get out of here. And the saws I have are a 555 and a big 281. In the theme of just using non-special saws and gear, how about a 555 from 2011 or 12 with a Forester bar, but I do believe it has an Oregon chain on it. Let's see how far we can get with that rig, right? Price was right on that bar and chain combo. But I have a real problem here. I mean, right now I really don't know how I'm going to turn around. It's that dense in here. It's a swamp. And I really need to make enough room to where I can use the tractor to make space and almost like build a landing out here to where I can pull wood, you know, gather it up and then get it out of here. So there's a lot of work that has to get done, and I'd like to get it all done today, but it's just not happening. And that's a concept that, I don't know, I'm sure the guys who do this for a living have figured out a long time ago. Nothing happens in minutes. It just takes time. It takes a lot of time and a lot of work. Unless you've got really big equipment, none of that will ever be harvestable wood. All that will always be weed trees. You know? That's a lot of cutting right there. So I think what I'm going to do is fire up, get my PPEs on, and I'm just going to start cutting. So let's talk about these saws for just a little bit. You can see what I got to do. Basically clear a lot of brushy type trees in a swamp essentially. And saw choice and bar length and all that actually matters right now for me. I mean, when I was hacking and slashing and felling trees, I was running that 28-inch bar, and especially with the size trees that I'm dealing with down here, being able to stab all the way through, you know, bore cut all the way through the tree Made things a little safer for me, a little easier. It's harder to get two cuts to line up if I having to come from both sides. So having the bar length actually matched the task. But as I start getting back into this stuff here, it's not as important as it was. And I'm going to be more interested in weight versus length of bar. So we're back to that 20-inch bar combination, I think, for most of this work. It's just easier. Now I'm eventually going to go drag out one of my little hot rod saws with a, you know, a Suit-Kote or a, you know, Oregon VersaCut or something like that, something lightweight that I like. But right now what I've got is I got that Forester bar. They do make a solid bar, but that one there's a laminated bar, so it's cheap. So we'll see how long it lasts. But really what I'm looking for there is, yeah, I'm going to run a cheap bar because I got them for nothing. But I want to use a smaller saw because I have to carry it quite a ways and I have to get all that brush down. And I don't want to carry a big bar if I don't have to. Now here's another point, back to auto-tunes. The difference between my auto-tune saws and my Fun and Games hobby saws comes in a couple of parts. Number one, I don't have to come with a screwdriver. That saw right there, while it's fun, and you'll see it in a lot of videos both in the past and the future, I have to have a screwdriver pretty close by because one day it might be 40 degrees, 45, and the next day it might be 75. And today it's up in the 80s. So you have to tune to match, where these I don't have to. That's the whole point of auto-tune. And the second thing is when you're off-tuned just a little bit, getting them fired up so you can get them to where you can start tweaking on them is important. Having these little primer bulbs lets you flush out the old gas and flush new gas into the carburetor, but also make sure there's gasoline right there so it's easier to start even with the choke on. So those two characteristics pretty much sway the decision for me, right? I know I'm going to be out there. I know I'm going to be freaking miserable. So having a saw easier to live with makes a job like that more, you know, palatable, a little easier to deal with. Boy, hear that woodpecker? Now another thing about these saws, and it's become more and more important to me, is fuel usage. That 565 right there will literally use half as much fuel on the same amount of cutting as the 281. And yeah, it gives up a little power, but not enough to make up the difference in fuel usage, for sure. And I think you've seen it enough to know that it'll cut a big tree. They both do. And, you know, maybe 2 seconds faster, 3 seconds faster makes that big saw make sense for somebody. Maybe even 30 seconds faster when you're doing a cutting operation. But, you know, a couple of gallons a day begins to add up, you know. $5 a gallon, $6 a gallon fuel, plus the oil you mix in there. That stuff is getting pretty pricey. So the fuel usage actually is beginning to matter to me, because I'll suck down one of those in 2 days. Alright, let's see if we can get these things started. 565. Didn't put any new gas in or nothing. Yep, 565. Let's just see what it does. Primer bulb. Decomp. Pull out and up. See what it does. see whether or not this 2011 or 12 version of a 555 suffers from heat soaking issues. See if it'll restart. I got 2 more stumps I want to take over or take down. One of them I'm going to have to wait until I can clean it up some. The reason why you take these stumps down in the area that you want to operate the tractor in is, I don't know if anyone's ever been in the mud and then have a stump or a root direct the front tire or the rear tire when you're backing up to where you can't steer. Well, this place gets pretty muddy back here, so while I have a little bit of dryness and I want to use this spot here to turn the tractor around, I'm going to clear as much of that stuff out as I can. Moment of truth. I guess that's one little 555 which doesn't have a restart issue. Alright, I ran the saw out of gas and pretty much hacked away up to where I was working once before. I'm kind of tired, but what I'm going to try to do is get the tractor where I can focus up that way, and then I want to see if I can get the cable over to that one log, hook onto it, pull it over to here, and then go up the new road, and then when I need to go do some cutting, I'll get out of the tractor and finish the cutting. Question I have is what to do with this one right here, and for the time being I think I'm just going to push it out of the way if I can. It's going to be a struggle, so I'm going to set the camera over here so you guys can laugh. I still got a couple more to go, it looks like. At least those 3. See if I can push them the other direction and then go right through there. And got my log back there. Good sized log. I'll set the camera on the bucket and whew. Sized log. I was hoping to get the other one same pull, but I guess I'm just gonna have to wait. You know, I don't think I'll have any trouble with this one. I really don't think I'm gonna have any trouble with both of them.